Part 2, The Promise That Destroyed a 12-Year-Old Boy. Over the next several weeks, William Carter found reasons to pass through the village more often than his duties required. Sometimes he stopped near the bakery. Sometimes he paused beside the church. Occasionally he would find Thomas working somewhere entirely alone. The boy was always doing something. Carrying supplies. Repairing tools. Helping neighbors. It was as if he believed that standing still for too long might allow something dangerous to catch up with him. One afternoon, William discovered Thomas sitting beneath a large oak tree overlooking the stream outside the village. The same stream where sunlight danced across the water and dragonflies skimmed the surface. The summer air smelled of wild grass and warm earth. Thomas sat with his knees drawn close, watching the current move around smooth stones. William approached quietly and lowered himself onto the grass several feet away. Neither spoke at first. The silence felt natural. A pair of birds crossed overhead. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Finally William broke the silence. "Your sister liked this place." Thomas looked up sharply. "How do you know that?" "Your aunt told me." Thomas returned his gaze to the stream. "She came here almost every day." William nodded. "She sounds like someone who noticed beautiful things." For a moment Thomas seemed about to respond. Instead he picked up a pebble and tossed it into the water. Ripples spread outward in perfect circles. "Everyone keeps talking about her," he said quietly. "Because they loved her." Thomas stared at the moving water. "I remember everything about her." William listened. The way she laughed. The way she sang while she worked. The way she always carried bread for birds. Another pebble landed in the stream. "I remember all of it." William waited. The boy's voice had changed. Softer now. Less guarded. "Then why does it feel so far away?" Thomas asked. The question lingered between them. William looked across the water before answering. "Sometimes when people lose someone important, their minds protect them." Thomas frowned slightly. "Protect them from what?" "From feeling everything at once." The boy considered this. Wind moved gently through the oak branches overhead. Leaves whispered above them. After several minutes, Thomas spoke again. "The night before she died, Emily made me promise something." William remained still. "What was it?" Thomas swallowed. His eyes stayed fixed on the stream. "She told me not to cry." The words came out almost as a whisper. "She said Aunt Clara would need me to be strong." William felt something tighten in his chest. Thomas continued. "She said somebody had to take care of things." Another long silence followed. The stream flowed steadily onward. "And you believed her," William said. Thomas nodded. "I promised." "You were 12. A promise is still a promise." William looked at the boy carefully. Suddenly many things made sense. The endless work. The constant movement. The absence of tears. Thomas was not avoiding grief. He was obeying someone he loved. Every day since the funeral, he had carried those words like a responsibility too heavy for a child. "Emily probably wanted to help you," William said gently. "She did. She probably thought being strong would make things easier." Thomas finally looked at him. "Then why does it feel harder every day?" William did not answer immediately. He watched sunlight shimmer across the water. Then he spoke quietly. "Because carrying pain is not the same as healing it." Thomas lowered his eyes. Somewhere deep inside, a crack had appeared in the wall he had spent months building. Small. Barely visible. But it was there. And for the first time since the funeral, the promise he had guarded so carefully no longer felt like protection. It felt like a prison. The conversation beside the stream stayed with Thomas long after he returned home. The words followed him through quiet mornings and restless nights. A promise is still a promise. He believed that. He had repeated it to himself so many times that it felt carved into stone. Yet another sentence now lingered beside it. Carrying pain is not the same as healing it. He did not know which one was true anymore. Summer settled fully over the village. Warm sunlight stretched across fields of tall grass. Windows remained open late into the evening. The scent of wildflowers drifted through narrow streets. Life continued moving forward. Thomas continued moving with it. But something had changed. The routines that once felt comforting now felt heavier. Each chore took a little more effort. Each quiet moment lasted a little longer. Sometimes he would stop in the middle of a task and find himself staring at nothing. One afternoon, Aunt Clara asked him to clean a storage room behind the house. The room had not been touched in months. Dust covered the shelves. Old crates sat stacked against the walls. Sunlight filtered through a small window, filling the air with floating specks of gold. Thomas spent hours sorting through forgotten belongings. Most of the items meant nothing to him. Broken tools. Empty jars. Folded blankets. Then he found a wooden box tucked beneath a shelf in the far corner. It was small enough to carry with one hand. The lid was scratched. A faded blue ribbon had been tied around it years earlier. Thomas immediately recognized the ribbon. It matched the one resting on Emily's dresser upstairs. His heart gave a strange, unfamiliar pull. Slowly he brushed away the dust. The box belonged to her. He knew it before opening it. For several seconds he simply stared at it. The room suddenly felt quieter. Even the distant sounds of birds outside seemed to fade. Thomas carried the box into the sunlight near the window. His hands felt oddly unsteady. Not trembling. Just unfamiliar, as though they belonged to someone else. The ribbon came loose with a gentle tug. He lifted the lid. Inside were small pieces of a life carefully saved. Photographs. Pressed flowers. A tiny carved wooden bird. Several folded notes. A theater ticket from years earlier. Nothing valuable. Nothing important to anyone else. Yet every item seemed to hold a memory. Thomas picked up a photograph first. Emily stood beside the stream, smiling directly at the camera. Her hair moved in the wind. The sunlight caught her face. She looked completely alive. Completely present. He set the photograph down quickly. Something inside his chest tightened. Next came a folded piece of paper. Then another. Most were simple notes. Shopping lists. Reminders. Small thoughts written in hurried handwriting. He read them one by one. The familiar loops and curves of her penmanship filled the room with her presence. It felt as though she might walk through the door at any moment and ask why he was touching her things. For the first time in months, Thomas stopped thinking about being strong. He stopped thinking about promises. He stopped thinking about what everyone expected from him. Sitting alone beside that dusty window, surrounded by sunlight and silence, he found himself searching for Emily instead. And somewhere at the bottom of the box, hidden beneath photographs and folded papers, rested a sealed envelope with his name written carefully across the front. Thomas froze. The room seemed to hold its breath around him. The handwriting was unmistakable. Emily Miller. Written by her hand. Written for him. The envelope remained unopened in his lap while afternoon sunlight slowly crossed the floor. And for reasons he could not explain, Thomas suddenly felt afraid to discover what his sister had wanted him to know.